The Pope and Young Club wants to welcome you as we rally together to ensure our bow hunting opportunities for today and tomorrow. You've come to the podcast that believes in preserving, protecting, and promoting the passion for bow hunting. Join us as we strive to be the voice of today's bow hunter. This is the Pope and Young Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pope and Young Podcast. I'm Jason Rounsville, joined today by my co-host Dylan Ray, and we have, and as you can see from the background, a very special bow hunting guest, Dr. Warren Strickland. Welcome to the Pope and Young Podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. We are excited to have you. I know I've seen you at events. I've gotten to shake your hand. I just haven't had an opportunity to sit down and visit with you. And everybody I've talked to, your name comes up all the time in bow hunting circles. And so looking forward to it.
I've been around for a long time.
Yes, right, sir. And so I understand you have a Super Slam with your bow.
I certainly do. It was, I think I completed my Super Slam about 5 years ago. It was kind of, I can't say that I started off even dreaming that I would actually collect all 29 species of North America. But I remember one night I was sitting down, actually going through the Pope and Young book, and I said, well, I turned to the back where all the big game animals were listed, and I just checked ones off that I had, and I had 21
wow.
different species. So that I might as well get the other 7 or 8.
Yeah, at that point in time, you almost owe it to yourself to do it. So which one was the toughest of all 29? Which was the toughest to do?
Well, the one that took the most time was actually the brown bear. I spent probably, I think I counted it up, over 100 days in the field on 4 or 5 different hunts.
Wow.
Before I finally collected my brown bear. But I only wanted to shoot one. And I set a goal that I wanted to shoot one that was over 10 feet. So I let a lot of them walk by. And finally I got a chance at, that big trophy, and he squared 10-7. So he was a pretty nice brown bear.
And that's the one behind you?
It is. That's the one behind me.
Give us a look. Give us a little spin of that trophy room. We gotta show everybody this.
Yeah. So there's the brown bear. Right there. I can't, I wish cool. I could. Let's see. Yeah, there he is right there. Yeah. But that was a pretty nice brownie. He was the second or third largest brown bear shot in the state of Alaska the year that I took him. And I've hunted with a great guide. I spent 60 days with him in the field on 3 different hunts. His name is Henry Tiffany. Henry's a master guide from Alaska. And we spent a lot of time down on the peninsula and just had a great experience with him.
Wow.
He's truly a master.
Yeah. Now I see a couple of Harlequin ducks back there. Are you a duck hunter as well?
Well, when we were out on the peninsula, some days the wind wasn't right to bear hunt. So the waterfowl hunting was pretty incredible. So I got a chance to collect a few birds while I was out there as well.
Outstanding. So over 100 days to get your brown bear.
It was
And how many trips was that over?
5 different trips. I would go and stay the whole season.
Man. Yeah. See, I don't know, Dylan. I think I'm not prepared to do that. I'd have looked at the small ones and said, yep, I'm here. Let's get it done.
There it is.
So that's why I'll never have a trophy room like that.
Well, Jason, what happened was that after I had invested 50 or 60 days on 3 different hunts, I felt, I would have wasted all of that time if I would have shot a smaller bear, because I let a lot of bears walk by me. So I was pretty much, committed to that 10-foot bear.
Yeah.
Jason, most people have one wall that they sit in front of that looks good.
I know.
But he's doing a 360. And you just see giants behind him everywhere he goes.
And there's not a bad spot yet. And that's just the trophies. And then you look at, there's racks of recurves on the wall. So that's
what got you started in your recurve collection, if I might ask?
Well, Fred Bear was, like everyone, Fred Bear was, really meant a lot to me. He was, when everyone had football players, basketball players, my hero, the person that I wanted to emulate the most was Fred Bear. And Fred Bear, the Kodiak recurves, was his bow of choice. And I started collecting them probably 25 or 30 years ago. Yeah.
Well, I'd
Now,
say Papa
say
Bear
much.
would be proud based on what I'm seeing here.
I can't say much, but when this episode launches, Bear is bringing back a couple bows from the Kodiak line. That's going to be phenomenal. And by the time this episode launches, they'll be here. But some bows I'm really excited about in the Kodiak line that hasn't been around for a long time.
Yeah, that's great. I heard that they're going to start, reintroducing some of the classic recurves, which is fantastic. My daughter has I started her shooting a bow when she was probably 5 or 6, and she shot 5 or 6 quality or Pope and Young type whitetails over the years, and all of them have been with a Bear Kodiak.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So did you do your super slam with recurves or compounds?
Oh no. I shot compounds. Hoyt was my bow of choice. I shot PSC for a long time, and then I switched over to Hoyt. And both of them were just great bows. But I shot 29 with either a PSC compound or a Hoyt compound. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's so. If you had to pick one recurve out of there, which is your favorite?
Well, I was able to get a couple of Fred Bear's personal recurve bows.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I would have to say I have 2 of them, 2 that he actually was his personal bows. I've collected a lot of his memorabilia over the years, but I would have to say those 58 Kodiak Bear recurves are probably my favorites.
Oh heck yeah, I could see that. That's fantastic.
Now, when it comes to shooting a recurve, we all have shot recurves. I have a 63 Kodiak that really shoots great. It doesn't stack at all. It's around 63, 64 pounds, just a fantastic shooting bow.
Yeah, I'm not a good enough bowyer to shoot a recurve, but at least I recognize my limitations. So I'm going to stick with my compound for a while.
Well, I tell you what, when I get serious, I take my compound.
There you go.
But it's great to shoot recurves with friends around the house and things of that sort. But when I'm on a serious hunt, I have my compound in the hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So we heard about your most difficult, or the one that took you the most time. Which one would be your favorite of those 29?
I tell you, if I was not so obsessed with elk hunting, I would have finished my 29 15 years ago.
I love that.
Yeah, but for so many years, I would spend a month elk hunting. I would have 3 or 4 tags in my pocket, and I would I would go from state to state to state elk hunting. So without a doubt, elk are my favorite.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, and do you have a favorite state for elk?
Arizona.
Okay.
I love Arizona, but now let me tell you, I have really fell in love with Southern Oregon and Northern California for Roosevelt.
Hey, all right.
Giant Roosevelt. I got a couple that I just haven't got a chance to put them in the book yet, but I am. I've shot a couple Roosevelts in the 360s in that area. So those are, yeah. So I've shot big Roosevelt.
For people that don't know, a 360 Roosevelt is that's over 400 Rocky. I mean, those are just monsters.
Yeah, I think 285 or 290 is Boone and Crockett. It's a Boone and Crockett standard. So anything over 300 is a really good Roosevelt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How many animals do you have in the book, Warren?
Well, Dylan, I'm just ashamed to even say this. I have most of my Pope and Young animals I've scored, but I've only put 8 or 10 in the book. But my
Only.
goal in the
Only
next
10,
couple of
Jason.
years
Yeah, only
uh,
8 or 10.
is to to get all of my animals scored and put them in
That's gonna be a week-long job for somebody.
yeah,
You couldn't measure all that in a week. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? I
We're
had
gonna have to have a
Tim.
panel. We're gonna have to have a panel just in Alabama, Jason.
I'm telling you, I'll go down for that just to see that
Yeah.
trophy room. That's cool. And it's as I'm sitting in Western Oregon, I appreciate that that you threw out the Southern Oregon reference. I think it's neat. I just grew up. I mean, I live in Roosevelt country, and I think a lot of people don't realize how huge the bodies are on those elk until you walk up to one and you realize, holy smokes, I've got to carry this whole thing up that mountain.
Jason, I think they're 25% bigger than a big Rocky Mountain. They are absolutely huge. And it kind of underestimates the size of the antlers because the bodies on them are so big. They're just huge animals.
Yeah.
But they are so neat.
They're just in some of the places you find those, it's boy, it gets steep and deep and thick where you're looking at, okay, I see the elk. I know it's there. I can tell there's an elk there, but there's no way you're getting an arrow through there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, that's great. Wow. How exciting.
What's your least favorite state to hunt in? I'm curious to know.
Least favorite state. Boy, that's pretty tough because I can't think of anywhere that I've gone. I love BC. British Columbia is probably one of my favorite because actually it's not a state but province, because in British Columbia you can hunt so many different species. You can hunt black bear, you can get three different sheep species there, moose. It's just in British Columbia I feel it's true wilderness. My least favorite state, I can't say that I really have one. I can't say that I have a least favorite animal either. I have really enjoyed, the bow hunting experience in all the states and chasing all the species.
Obviously, and there's a lot. Have you calculated? Have you ever thought, like you said with the brown bear, it was over 100 days. Have you calculated how many days you've got just into this room?
Oh, no, I haven't. I mean, this is 25 to 30 years and Jason, for so long, I've gotten a little bit better now, but I pretty much lived, breathed, and ate bow hunting. I spent 9 to 10 months a year preparing for my hunts, training, getting in good shape. And I shot at least 5 days a week for 20 or 25 years, because normally I only had one opportunity on the hunt, and I had to make that shot count. So I spent lots and lots of time understanding my equipment, getting myself in the best physical condition to withstand, those sometimes long and grueling hunts. And my favorite backpack hunts up north.
Really nice. Yeah. I if I'm camping, instead of carrying everything in at my back, I like to have like the wall tent with the nice stove. I mean, that's kind of my idea of camping sometimes, but that's why I don't have the things on my wall you have on yours.
Well, it's just that I think anyone can do it because I don't have any special talent, just a lot of hard work, persistence, and, drive and motivation.
Yeah.
And
Obviously.
most importantly, the love and passion for the sport.
Yeah. I think you have to have that. And it's interesting when you talk to people, and especially some younger people, they get it. And then some people they just want to go kill it. Doesn't matter what it's with. And then you see them come almost a little bit later in life where they get the appreciation for the experience as opposed to just going out and killing something.
Yeah, and I think we go through stages of hunting. I think we're all at the, sometime, in the beginning of bow hunting, I just wanted to kill something, shoot something. And then you want to shoot as much as you can, and then you become more selective. You want to trophy hunt. And now I'm at the point where I just love to take people. Now, when I go elk hunting, normally I'm calling and guiding for someone else. I go up and guide for Thule's every year
Nice.
with a good friend. I just love to call, and I get so much out of seeing someone else collect an animal now.
Wow. That's
Yeah. And those are just the stages, I think, that as we mature, that we advance through.
yeah. And so who are some folks that you've enjoyed taking? Like if you had to say, hey, here's a couple guys that were worth taking, who would they be?
My favorite all time is Bob Delaney.
Oh, nice.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Outstanding.
you haven't got to take me and Jason yet, though.
That's
Bob and I have been on 2 or 3 a couple of Thule elk hunts. We were on a Roosevelt hunt this year, and we've turkey hunted together. I spent quite a bit of time with Bob. And
That's
I've always
great.
take a lot of my buddies with me as well, and particularly spring turkey hunting. I love the spring turkey hunt as well.
I heard through the grapevine you were a turkey hunter.
I love the turkey hunt.
Yeah, you do all that with
the great thing about turkey hunting and elk hunting, you can make something happen. You can change the scenario by calling. So yeah, I really enjoy turkey hunting and elk hunting. It's not much difference. They both are pretty close to the same. You just don't have to worry about the wind with turkeys, but you got to worry about their eyes and ears.
Yeah. I for one appreciate that you don't have to worry about the wind as much with turkeys.
Oh,
they're not going to smell you.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. It just takes that one more factor out of the equation. So it just
absolutely
tips the odds in my favor a little bit.
If a turkey had a nose, we would all be in trouble.
I've heard that before. Very good. So have you done the same thing, turkey slam?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I've shot quite a few turkey slams, and now again,
quite a few turkey slams, Jason.
Yeah, again, I kind of take things. I'm a little. My wife says I'm very obsessive compulsive, but I spend pretty much most of April and last part of May chasing turkeys across the country. I usually start in Florida, hunt Texas, and my home state of Alabama, Tennessee, and then I finish up in Northern California. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how did you get started hunting? Where are you originally from?
Well, I grew up in Southeast Arkansas, and
he's not even a Razorback, Jason. You hear that? Man.
That's right. And hunting was just kind of my dad, I think it's always passed down. My dad was a small game hunter. We started off dove hunting, squirrel and rabbit hunting. And we were farmers as well. And lots of deer around soybean fields. So I got a bow when I was age 12. It was a little Ben Pearson. You've seen the set. There's a little fiberglass bow with 3 arrows. And I just loved that thing and shot it. And finally, I was able to shoot it decently enough where I bought me a recurve. I cut yards all summer and got me a Brown and Nomad 1 recurve. Nice. And started bow hunting there in Arkansas around our soybean fields. And my dad was, he was a stickler about the regulations. We had one of the longest seasons, archery seasons in the nation at that time. It would open October 1st and close February 28th. And you could only kill 2 deer. I would usually have my 2 deer killed by the time the gun season would open. So I never really got a gun hunt. Dad would let me go. But I would have to say that my father got me started in the outdoors.
Yeah. That's great. I'm sure appreciative. My dad was the same way. I mean, I was born in August. At the end of September, I was in deer camp and just, my very first, and I never knew anything else. Like my whole life, that's all I ever really wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we did. That we didn't have computers. We were outdoors all the time. We were hunting and fishing, or doing something in the outdoors. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
So I'm thinking about Dylan's question. What was probably one of my most? I didn't say that I did not enjoy hunting this area, but it was the most uncomfortable was my polar bear hunt. It was minus 45 degrees the whole time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And there he is right there.
Yeah,
over
that's
your
right.
shoulder.
Yeah. So Dylan, I'm going to tell you, I took a thermometer with me because I wanted to just kind of keep up with exactly how cold it got. And after the third day, I thought my thermometer was broke because the mercury never came out of the bulb. It was a -30.
It was so cold the mercury wouldn't even come out in the thermometer.
So later
That's
on,
cool.
I found out that the thermometer just didn't go far enough down. It was -45 the whole time I was out there. That's
Man.
pretty.
You know, I talk about sometimes I was on a hunt in Montana that was like -4 or -5 degrees, and I needed electric gloves to even hunt in that weather. I can't imagine -45.
Yeah, that's pretty cold. Yeah, particularly for a southern boy.
Yeah.
Now, is there one animal that like you harvested and you're like, okay, I'm glad I did it, but I don't want to hunt them anymore? Like,
Probably mountain lion. I said
Really?
I need one mountain lion. I probably don't need to shoot another mountain lion. I'm trying to think of anything else. Buffalo. I shot my buffalo in the Pink Mountains in British Columbia. I don't really need to shoot another buffalo. It's just one of the species that I needed to collect. But it was a great hunt. I did it with Tom Hoffman. We were out, it was true wilderness, and we had a great, great time, saw lots of buffalo, but I don't need to shoot another one. So I would say probably those two.
Gotcha.
now, for somebody who's shot all of them, what's your favorite tasting wild game?
Sheep is very good, particularly sheep ribs on the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and elk is excellent if you can get a bull that's not in the rut. They eat really, really well. But I would say my two favorite would be sheep and elk. Elk is really, really good. Moose, you would think that as big as a moose, the meat is tough and not very tasty, but it dines pretty well.
Yeah. I love elk. That's kind of my staple all year long.
What's the one wild game that you didn't like?
Antelope. One it tastes a lot like the sagebrush that it was eating, but it just could have been the antelope that I have shot in the past, because I've heard some hunters say that antelope can be pretty tasty. I just hadn't found one yet.
Yeah, I'll
Jason,
tell you.
have you eaten your antelope yet?
Yeah, so far it's been great.
Yeah,
I mean I've tried it, but I haven't had the steaks. I've just had some of the sausage I had made. So and he said antelope, but I doubt that he probably tried those harlequins. Because I don't think those sea ducks aren't known as table fare. I'd say they'd make antelope taste pretty good.
Yeah,
I've seen a couple javelinas on the wall. Did you try the javelina?
Javelina is not bad. I've had javelina, and what we would do is take them, skin them out. I
had it one time, and it was delicious.
Yeah, dig a pit, wrap them up and bury them, and let them cook until the meat falls off the bone. They're pretty tasty. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some. Well, just last year in Texas, we ended up shooting a bunch, and it's one of those things where everything tastes better around a campfire in the woods with your buddies. But it was incredible table fare, and we had heard don't even touch them. They're not worth it, and thought, well, if I'm going to shoot it, I'm gonna eat it, and it was really good. Now, of course, again, could have been the atmosphere, but
right,
kind of like the ribs on the mountain.
Yeah. Oh God, deep ribs on the mountain. After a couple of weeks up there, there's absolutely nothing better.
Well, and for two reasons. Number one, because it's just magnificent. And then number two, because you don't have to carry them out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And after eating freeze-dried mountain house for 2 weeks, to get sheep ribs over an open fire with a little bit of salt on them, it's just nothing better.
That's awesome.
I'm watering already, Jason.
All right. Well, it's let's see, we're just a little past lunchtime here, but you're probably not too far from dinner.
Nope.
So we're just priming you up.
That's exactly right.
That's so Bob Delaney, Like Hunting with Bob, is is there, well, I don't want to ask if there's anybody you don't like hunting with, because we don't want him to come up on a second podcast.
Yeah, I don't like hunting with him. I probably don't hunt with him.
Yeah. Yeah. It's what about
I can say the same thing for that one. He's never been hunting with me or you, Jason, or he'd have an answer.
I'm yeah, he'd be like, y'all been out here for 100 days and that guy shot a little one. What was he thinking? So
I just want to, just while we're talking, the Pope and Young convention this year was outstanding. You guys did a wonderful, wonderful job. It was one of the best conventions that I've gone to. And I think I've been to 6 or 7. And I just want to let you know you did an outstanding job. And the trophy presentation that Tom Miranda did was just absolutely first class.
It's well, thank you very much for that. It was such a labor of love. It people don't realize exactly how much went into planning that thing, because we planned the Virginia convention, and literally 3 weeks before we were supposed to be, doors open in Virginia, that thing got canceled due to COVID.
Right.
And so, we did 97% of the work on that and didn't get to see it come to fruition.
Wow.
And then we started in, and by that time we were a little bit behind on Reno. So we jumped in, spent a year on Reno. And then right before Reno, was supposed to happen in April, and at the end of January, we moved that into July. So we got to plan that convention a whole nother time between January and July. So we planned 3 conventions to get that one to come together. So we're so glad that we got to have everybody there and see all of our friends and extended family. We really needed that.
Yeah. And Jason, what really surprised me, I did not expect the turnout to be as large as it was. I bet there were 500 people there, you think?
Yeah. Our total attendance was 783.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah.
And it's,
congratulations. A job well done.
Well, thank you. We were excited. And, if you'd have told us 3 months ahead of time, hey, would you trade the possibility for 700 to just guarantee 500? We just sold it. We just said, yes, we get 500 people there. We'll take it all day, every day. And then as we're getting closer, you could feel, because we're the first, major event to come back.
Right.
And, things just opened up in Nevada. So our timing was good there. And you could feel the energy. People were excited to just get out and see people and talk to people. And it was just a great time. And just so glad we were able to do it.
Great things about that convention. So everyone's really excited about the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, we're going back to Reno, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's there. We know, how things are going to be set up for the most part. And obviously there's some things we want to improve, but we're just excited. So we've already started some planning. Heather, our event planner, Heather Knight, she is tremendous. She's a tremendous asset for us. And she and I have a tendency to think big, and so we've got a couple things that I think you'll be excited to see in 23.
Yeah. And another thing too, the board of directors, you have an outstanding board of directors. I was there with the presentations and the updates that the board of directors, that when they presented to the general membership and to the regular membership, just fantastic. Those guys are, they are just, right on time. The club is, this is the brightest future for the club that I've seen in a very long time. You got a strong board of directors. Jason, Dillon, you guys are doing an outstanding job. The sky's the limit for Pope and Young.
It really is. And, it's nice working with the board because, they're making decisions for the right reason. And it's, having been in this industry for, a long, long time, you've seen good decisions made, seen bad decisions made. You've seen, both of those made for the right and wrong reasons. And when, sometimes tough or difficult decisions are made for the right reasons. And like you say, the sky's the limit, and there's a lot of blue up there. So we're really looking forward to the future.
Yeah. And one other thing, I have to get a shout out again to Bob Delaney, the
Yeah,
job he done with with trust funding and getting that up and going. The Fred Bear Society. Uh, that's just come. Bob has brought that uh, portion of the club a long, long ways.
Bob is a true warrior for Pope and Young, and he has worked with the Fred Bear Society and the Trust Fund. And you always hear, oh, well, he took it to a new level. I think Bob took it about 3 levels up. I mean, he really, he took something that just didn't have some traction, all of a sudden gave it some traction, some direction and purpose, and it's really been good working with Bob because he has that knowledge and that drive to be successful doing what he's doing.
Oh yeah, he has a passion for that club. I mean, you can just, his footprint is all over that trust fund. He's just done an outstanding job, and I would have to say that of all of the affiliations that I have, being in that Fred Bear Society for me is a real honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's that's the future of the organization. That's where we're looking. We just hit 60 years, and if we're going to make it another 60, that trust fund and the foundation that we're laying now with the 3 pillars, that's what's going to get us to the next 60 years.
Absolutely. I agree. Tell me a little bit about what's on the timeline for the club. Where do you see us in the next year or two? How is membership looking as far as recruiting? Can you?
You bet. And here's once again when you talk about the board and some of the decisions that are being made. It's interesting when I interviewed for the executive director position. Even in my interview, I was aware of the Pope and Young Club. I'd been an archer for a long time. I just hadn't been involved with the club, and so there were a few things that I asked then. Even hey, explain the membership structure to me, because at that time it was even more diverse than it is now. And so the board has made on a couple separate occasions over the last 3 years, they've made some decisions to help simplify our membership,
right,
to make it easier for people. And a lot of folks, if you know somebody that's in the club, it's pretty easy to explain it to them. But if you don't have a personal, mentor in the club, it's a little bit intimidating. It's sometimes. So, that's one of the things that they're doing is they've made a commitment to help simplify things. The other thing is they are in the middle. We just did our rebranding. So we came up with 3 pillars. It is, we're here to preserve, to promote, and protect bow hunting. And I think that's something that speaks to every bow hunter out there. Whether you're shooting trophy bucks or forking horns, you want to make sure that you have an opportunity to go hunt. And so that's kind of where we're focusing now. We just had a marketing call this afternoon where we're going to be putting some effort into getting the word out, letting people know,
right,
we're the only national organization fighting for bow hunters, period. There's nobody else. There's some great state organizations, and we want to partner with them. We're not competing with them. We want to augment them and enhance and help and support. If we need to take the lead, we'll take the lead. If we need to be in a supporting role, we're okay with that, as long as it's promoting and protecting. So those are some of the things that I see. Membership is holding pretty steady, which, we just had a little over a year ago, year and a half, I guess it was, we had a price increase, or a price change, I should say. And so anytime you get that, there's always, it's like doing a cannonball into the pool. It takes, you jump in and it takes a minute to let the waves kind of subside. And so right now we're holding steady, but we're making a point. We want to go out and grow our membership. And we don't want we want to be the voice for bow hunters in America. And with that,
we are the voice for bow hunting.
We are the voice. Yes. And so, with that, we want the guy who maybe hasn't gone out and shot a brown bear. We want the lady in, maybe she lives in a state where she's never going to shoot a Pope and Young whitetail, but we still want her as a member because they're a bow hunter. And so that's kind of what we're looking at now, and is how to make it more attractive for people. We're still the Pope and Young Club. We're still going to have the records program because that's the backbone.
But it's more this on the bow hunting experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the direction that the club is headed in now, there's no doubt that, my kids, my grandkids, your kids, they will have a strong voice in the outdoor industry.
That's what we're hoping for. So we're digging in and we're doing our diligence, our due diligence to make sure that we're that for everybody. So, but it's exciting. And I think, as I get a chance to visit with folks in the industry, I think people are excited to see, the energy and where we are headed.
Oh yeah. It was pretty obvious at the convention. There was a lot of excitement and a lot of enthusiasm there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan, what you been up to these days? What are you doing? What's on your plate?
Whitetail season's kicking off. So on a hunting standpoint, that's what I've been up to. Started off in Missouri, and Oklahoma opens Friday. So I head to Oklahoma for the opener there this weekend. From a work standpoint, just staying busy, trying to, again, like Jason has shared, trying to find the best way to get this out there to the crowd. We as an organization know what we stand for, but how can we cast that really to even a younger generation?
Right.
How can we, and I've explained it like this to people. If you ask anybody my dad's age or older, they know exactly what Pope and Young is. They're like, oh yeah, we have seasons of bow hunting because of Pope and Young. Well, if you ask anybody my age, they're like, well, yeah, I'm still hoping to get one in the books, and it's amazing how many people I say, we don't have to have one in the books to be a member. They're like, what? I didn't know that. I'm like, dude, if you're a bow hunter, we want you. And
that's right.
And so that's what, as a marketing team, that's what we're really trying to nail down is how can we cast that vision? And of course we're staying busy with, post convention, news, all the awards that were won, all the well-deserved awards that people worked hard to get, and putting out those releases, announcing those awards and everything. So staying busy, but looking forward to whitetail season for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's right here upon us.
It is.
I'm going to head down to Texas this weekend and chase some whitetails there, waiting for our season open. Our season open here in Alabama in mid-October.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's on the West Coast. We're sitting here at the end of September and everything here is just about done. Mule deer, blacktail, elk, they're all in the pronghorn. That's all in the past. We've got that late blacktail season, but for the most part, a lot of our bow hunting's already done here.
Yeah, it's pretty much over with. Yes.
Yeah.
What part, Jason, you're from Oregon?
I am. Yeah. Grew up just south of Eugene, and now I live up in Salem, just
nice.
an hour south of Portland. So it's, when you talk about all the different species, I was kind of spoiled. I grew up, hunting Roosevelts and blacktail deer, and you go an hour east and you've got mule deer and Rocky Mountain or the American elk, and there's black bears and cougars. And so there was, just from where I was, a pretty good, diverse area, or a diverse array of wildlife you could chase just within an hour of the house.
Oh man, I tell you what, you grew up in a great area. We pretty much just in Arkansas, we pretty much had just whitetail. Actually, in my part of the country, I'm not sure if I ever saw a wild turkey. There were a few, but you just did not see them very often. So you're pretty fortunate to have such a potpourri of big game to chase, when you were coming up, and even today. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's definitely, being in this position, it's definitely putting a little pressure on and guiding me to do a little bit more on the big game side. I've hunted them my whole life, but it was never kind of my only thing. And so I put some focus to it this season.
Yeah, well, that's great. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. So what kind of setup are you shooting?
I got 2 days before I left for Wyoming for my first antelope hunt. I got my Hoyt RX5 showed up.
Oh man, that's awesome bow.
Yeah. And so it was at one point in time, I was getting a little cocky because I hunted, a couple days in Wyoming, got an antelope. And then I hunted a little bit in Idaho on a DIY kind of a public land deal, got an antelope. And I'm like, hey, if I can go connect up with an elk, I could literally have an RX5 with, like 3 animals in 5 days. And it just didn't quite work out that way. The elk didn't cooperate. I had the playbook, but they didn't read it.
Yeah, Hoyt really builds a great bow and arrow. And I have the RX1, I still shoot it. And the RX5, it's it's a Maserati. It's a great shooting machine.
It is, and I had the 3 before, and this is just feels a little bit better. I went up a little bit in poundage, but the back wall's nice and tight on this thing, and it's I'm not the world's greatest archer, so I need good equipment to make to get the job done, and I feel like I've got it there.
Well, you definitely have the bow.
Yeah. So, and I get to, fortunately, I've got some little bit of property here, so I can shoot just in the backyard. Makes it nice. I can go out to 70, 80 yards, no problem.
Oh, I see you got a kudu, a Gims buck, and maybe an eland there in the back of your wall. Looks like you spent a little time in Africa, huh?
I did. Yeah. I went over there and I loved it. It was just fantastic. Went to Botswana with a buddy of mine, and I figured, you know what, this is the only time I'll ever get here. So I went a little bit crazy and probably got a little more than I should have. But then as soon as you get back, you're like, I'm going again. So I just about the time I decided, I'm going to go back, all of a sudden COVID hit, and we all know how that's affected things.
Yeah, COVID has had a profound effect on the economy in a lot of different ways. It's I'll be glad when we get this pandemic under control.
Yeah, it's, even this morning you mentioned that because I woke up this morning. One of my favorite trips every year, it's one of the highlights, not even just of hunting trips, but my whole year is I go to Alberta usually for 2 weeks in October. And, I'm hunting up there, but I also have friends that I've gotten to know over the last 20 years of going to this area. And, I wasn't able to go last fall, wasn't able to go last spring. And I look today and I'm like, man, it just doesn't look like it's going to come together for this year either. And it's tough. I'm ready for this COVID thing to be over so we can get back to living life and seeing your friends and just all the things that people should be doing instead of sitting around waiting for things to clear.
Jason, I have been practicing medicine for 30 years. I've seen a few epidemics, a couple of pandemics, but I have not seen anything like COVID. I know there's a lot of misinformation out there, but as a physician, I have to say this. And but the only thing that's going to really get this under control, we have to do all the mitigation, wear the mask and social distancing, but the vaccine is a lifesaver. We will look back in another 20 to 30 years, and we would say that's one of the great miracles in modern medicine. We have about 700,000 people who have died from COVID, and I'm talking about real deaths in the U.S. I've lost more patients in the last year than in the last 10 years of my practice.
Wow.
And from COVID. So the vaccine, I know that there is a lot of controversy about the vaccine, but it's ultimately, that's what's going to make a difference. We cannot hide from COVID. It's everywhere. You're going to get it. It's just, too prevalent now. And I encourage everyone out there to consider taking that vaccine. That's all I have to say about it. But as
Yeah.
a care provider, I have an obligation, you know,
It's
to to make that statement.
Yeah. Well, and it's, you mentioned it earlier. Is there's so much misinformation is, you go to one place and it tells you, all the good things that the vaccine does. And you go to another place and, there's, a picture of somebody there who's had complications from the vaccine. And so it's so hard to find a place, that you trust with good information.
I know. And Jason, this is the problem. You can always find one example of anything, right? I mean, I can,
Yeah.
I mean, there are people who die in automobile accidents. We still drive cars.
Oh,
People,
yeah.
we have airplanes that fall out of the sky. We still fly,
Yeah.
Uh,
Hey,
but,
easy now. I was just booking some flights. So
so, but the vaccine, yeah, it's not perfect. But if I had a choice to take that vaccine or get COVID, I'll be in that vaccine line every time. I've seen young people with no comorbidities. I lost a really good friend that was in the mid 30s. The guy was, in great shape, but he was gone in 5 days from COVID.
yeah.
I've seen lots and lots of people that if they would have had the vaccine, they would still be here now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I had to say it. I know this is about bow hunting, but one person listen to this podcast may hear this from a feather bow, another bow hunter, and they may go out and take the vaccine. So it's worth making that statement.
Absolutely. So, talking about the vaccine and travel, what do you have coming up on your travel schedule? Where are you heading next to go on your next adventure?
South Texas this weekend. I'll be down there for several days. I'll hunt whitetail there. I go down there every year. I've been going down there for the last 20 years. And then I'll hunt here in Alabama. I go to Tennessee and deer hunt. And in January, I'm going to go to Coos deer hunting. So those are the really the big ones. This year I spent a lot of time elk hunting between hunting myself and other guys. I probably spent 3 weeks in the field. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of guys talk about that Coos deer hunt as being just a lot of fun.
Oh, it is. It's a great, and it's in January too. It's just a great time. Most of the Coos deer hunting is in either Arizona or Mexico. So the weather is very reasonable, particularly for the people that are up in the Midwest and need to get out of that cold weather. But yeah, Coos deer, challenging little deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. So, well, one of the things we do here, Dr. Strickland, is we ask every guest that we have, when you're out in the field, what is one piece of equipment, maybe a non-traditional item that you have with you that you just couldn't live without?
Let me think about that. One piece of equipment in my backpack that's non-traditional that I could not live without. Well, I would say that a Swiss Army knife is probably non-traditional, but I always have a Swiss Army knife with me because there's everything on that.
Now, is that the great big one with the toothpick and the tweezers?
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I always keep one of those in my back, but never leave without. For my GPS, of course, it's non-traditional, but I always have a couple of extra sets of batteries. I've been out and, have lost power, and I have batteries. Yeah.
I was just on a hunt recently, and I was like, oh, I stocked up. I mean, I bought I don't know what it was, the 30 pack of AA batteries. And I get there and I'm getting ready to ride my bike back to camp 3 miles in the dark. And I realized my headlamps, I've got 2 headlamps because you always have a spare, and both of them take AAA batteries. So not only have batteries, but make sure you've got the right ones.
Yeah. I've had several times get caught out and, need that extra set of batteries. So I always have a pack of, an extra set of batteries for, again, for your headlamp, for your GPS, because they always go out at the most unopportune time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you get to add to your recurve collection any at our silent auction?
I did. I sure did. I picked up a couple.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that silent auction because you can usually find some real collectibles there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've already got some things slated for 23 that I think you'll be happy to see there. So when they cleaned out when they boxed the museum up for the move down to Bass Pro, which we're really excited about. And thank you, by the way. I know you were part of the team that initiated that and got that ball rolling. So thank you so much.
Jason, that was really an easy decision for Bass Pro to make because the Pope and Young Club represented what Bass Pro is all about: conservation and preservation of the outdoor experience. So, it's really the club itself, that made that transition very, very easy.
Yeah, and we're so excited because Johnny Morris and his team are great to work with, and that facility down there is, I mean, it's world class. It's I don't know what beyond world class is. I mean, it's the best. That's where you want to be.
I don't think there's anything else, a wildlife museum like that in the world. It's incredible. And for our club, for our museum to be in that Wonders of the Wildlife presentation or museum is just, that's going to be huge for the club. I think it's going to help us recruit a lot of members.
I think so. And I think we're going to have days at that museum that see more people than what we would see in Chatfield in a year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. And, I encourage everyone that's listening to this podcast, that needs to be a destination site, that museum to do around Springfield. But staying at Wonders of the Wildlife Museum is something that's got to be on your must-do list.
Absolutely. Now, you don't necessarily have to do it before our portion opens, but you have to do it.
That's exactly right. I agree.
So, well, anyway, sure appreciate all your support, and congratulations. It's been great getting to visit with you and see the trophy room and hearing the stories. So,
thanks, Jason, Dylan. I really appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to the next convention. And if you need anything from me, you just let me know.
Sounds good, sir. We'll see you in Reno.
All righty, buddy. Bye-bye.